All right. Welcome, everybody, to Blab with Bacon. And we got two sponsors, actually. One is the Bacon Podcast, and the other one is known as baconcoach.com. So we're here at Blab with Bacon, and I'd like to welcome my guest, Adam Davis. Adam, how you doing this morning?
Hey, Brian, thank you for having me. Good morning.
It's great to hear you. Great to see you.
Absolutely.
So where are you at?
I am in South Alabama.
South Alabama. Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I had you in Georgia for some reason back in my head, but
Close.
yeah, it's pretty close. So, look, tell me a little bit about yourself. I mean, what kind of things have you been doing over the years? I mean, how'd you get to do what you're doing right now?
Sure, absolutely. Brian, about 6 years ago, I started a career in law enforcement. And that career took me down a road that ultimately I wound up writing a book in January of 2015. And that book sold nationwide. It was a devotion for law enforcement. And after the book sold and really took off, I had a lot of interest from small business owners for me to come in and help them with social media marketing strategies and as well as websites. And, I was a cop, working for 15, 16 bucks an hour. And they said, well, how much would you charge? I have no idea. I'm a cop. What am I supposed to charge? So long story short, the book sold probably 4,000 or 5,000 copies. It sold, fairly well for it to be my first paperback release. And it opened up opportunities for me to have some influence in small business strategies. And my family has owned a small business here in our town for nearly 4 decades. And I've seen small businesses struggle, and I've seen them open, and I've seen them close, and a lot of the behind the scenes things that a lot of people don't really realize unless you're involved in small business.
Right.
So I recognize that in our area and in many other areas across the United States, small businesses are not capitalizing on the market that is available by having a website, by having an effective, well-performing website, and as well as an effective, well-performing social media presence. And then when you team those two things together and you integrate them, it brings some tremendous results. So there's a lot of other details that go with that. So long story short, back in September, 2015, I had enough business lined up for the month of October to leave my full-time job. And I created my own LLC. I got my business license and did all the fun stuff. And my last day as a police officer was October the 7th. Prior to that, I was bringing home, on average, about $2,000 a month as a police officer. Mm-hmm. And I am doing somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 to 9 now. And my best month has been right at 11. And it's by, I don't have any real super secret strategies. I'm going to be very transparent with you, but I'm a writer for the Huffington Post. I am one of the editors for the Good Men Project. I write anywhere I get an opportunity and share what I know, share my knowledge freely. Mm-hmm. So when I've done this, it has created opportunities for people to want to seek me out and ask questions. And, I'm always willing to help others. And that being authentic, number one, in creating genuine, authentic relationships and being genuinely willing to help with no ulterior motives is the number one key to anything that we do on internet marketing. Anything at all is building relationships. So here I am, basically 4 months out from having left a career that most people said, hey, you've got a secure job. You've got you've got good retirement. You've got this, you got that. Everything's secure and everything's great and everything's good. I don't see everything from that perspective. I believe that if you want to achieve anything outside of the proverbial box, that you're going to have to take some risk. You've got to take a risk if you want to do something outside of the norm. And if you're cool with a 9 to 5 and working your 40 hours a week and retiring after 40 years or whatever, then stick with it. But if you want to do something different, it's out there. You know, freelancers make up 54 million people in the American workforce. That's nearly 1/3 of the American workforce.
Mm-hmm.
Freelancers. And while I'm, in some categories a freelancer, there's so many people out there that could use the skills they have, whether it's writing or editing or, all the way down to speaking or doing website design or graphic design. They could use those skills to create a side income for their families.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm at. After 6 years in law enforcement, I, worked in the service industry before that. I started college back in August of 2012. I'll be the first person to graduate from college out of my family next month. So in the past year, I have grown a year closer to graduating. I've started a business. I've over tripled my income, and I've published a book that sold nationwide. So that's
Awesome.
how I've gotten to where I'm at. So I hope that answers.
And that's pretty quick too, man. I've been doing this for 15 years, so you waste no time. No. Let's go back and talk about your family business. What is it exactly that they do?
My dad owns a auto collision repair shop, and he's been in business, like I said, close to about 4 decades.
Okay. And what are some of the struggles that you've seen them go through?
When you get into a business that is that diverse, you're dealing with all kinds of external components and influencers, such as insurance companies, and then all the regulations that affect that, and then insurance adjusters and appraisers, and then you deal with you're going to deal with people that come out and say, well, this is how much you can charge for this or for parts or whatever. And then you deal with the parts industry, and then you deal with the paint industry and the suppliers. So there's all kinds of fluctuations that can affect the profit margin and the ability to create income. And, you can make enough to pay the bills, but if you're not making a profit, then why are you in business? So, right. One of the things that I've seen my dad's business do, which I'm not involved with, I have been in the past, but I don't work with him, is really expand his exposure and being able, he offers nationwide towing. Like I said, he's been doing it four decades, and he'll go anywhere in the United States and pick a vehicle up and repair it, give a lifetime warranty. Nobody in the country offers something like that. Nobody. Mm-hmm. And so he's gotten clients from coast to coast. So I learned a lot from him. And probably the number one thing is work ethic. A lot of people think, okay, well, if I leave my 9 to 5 and I'm going to go home and I'm going to work from home, that means that, I can, get up at 8 or 9 o'clock and I can kind of kick back and chill. That's not the case, man. I've worked harder. I say worked harder. I've worked more hours since I've been working from home than I've ever worked in my life, but I have more freedom, more reward, and I love life all over again. Mm-hmm. And that's what most people don't realize is they have the gift. They have the ability to do it. Just got to think outside the box.
Right. So you go from being a police officer to working in WordPress. How did that, did you just dive in and learn it, or did you have people working for you that do it? How is that something that you've been able to jump into?
Yeah. I'm the founder and owner of Enlivify Total Solutions, which is a full digital marketing agency. It's all we do. I don't have employees, but I have a team that I work with outside, mm-hmm. and they're all in the United States. So what I do is, I realized as a police officer that life was short, and it took being a police officer to understand how temporary life really is.
Oh yeah.
And I learned to number my days, and I don't mean to sound morbid or discouraging, but I learned to number my days. And one of the things I realized was the average life expectancy of a white Caucasian male in the United States is 76.4 years. And then I looked at how old I was and how many days I'd been alive. And then I saw people that I loved and knew and have been friends with for years unexpectedly pass away. So you can take away all the expectancy and all the future that we have. And then I realized, look at all the things that I'm doing now for my book that I could offer to other people because other businesses are wanting me to pay me to do that now.
Mm-hmm.
And these are things I can do now. So I found the gifts that I had that I was already using. And of course, I'm always learning. I taught myself, and I'm always learning, wanting to learn from others and get more education, more knowledge, and stay up to date on it. But I didn't want to waste another day doing something that was making me miserable, if that makes a lot of sense.
Totally does.
I didn't want to waste another day because we're not guaranteed another breath. And we are all created for a purpose. And my purpose was to have more freedom, to be a better father to my kids, and to be a better husband to my wife, and to be able to be a generous giver and to influence the growth of small business and help other people experience freedom in life. So it went from, I've been kind of dabbling in WordPress website design for a couple of years, but had no idea. My first website, I got paid, like $125.
Mm-hmm.
And, I look back at that and that's kind of cute, but, that doesn't touch it. Now my base price is somewhere around $24.97 now.
Mm-hmm.
And, but my clients get top-notch service, and then website care plans are just out of this world.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of the businesses that you're working with. Can you give a
Sure.
clear-cut example of like one business and how you walked in, how you set up things, what kind of results they got?
Okay, let's start with this. There was a business locally who had been in business for, 25 years, 24 years,
Mm-hmm.
and had a loyal customer base. He created his own products, and people loved it. And most every American will use this product. Coffee, locally grown or locally roasted, freshly roasted coffee.
Sure.
So, he asked me to come in. We sat down and we talked. And the first thing was, dude, why are you not selling this online? Why are you not selling this in a membership, form, or at bare minimum offering it online for people to buy it?
Mm-hmm.
And so we talked about that. And then we talked about some social media strategies that I implemented, and took his online social media presence from 40 to over 400, and it continued to grow. So it's a lot to do with the mindset. If you're willing to grow, if you're willing to try new things, and what risk you're willing to kind of take. But that paid dividends for him. I believe initially he saw between a 6 and 10% growth, and then a slow, continued, and steady growth after I completed what I did with it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one. I've worked with political campaigns locally. Those are a little bit different. Those are much more.
Yes, they are.
much more targeted to your local area. And yeah, they're certainly different. I've worked with coffee shops. I've worked with law firms. And then when you get into specific professions, you deal with, disclaimers, whether it's a law firm or a doctor's office or dental office or, a political campaign. You've got disclaimers and things that you have to be aware of. But the whole thing is getting the message out, and how your message is conveyed to the people that are seeing your content, whether it's on your website or if it's on your social media sites. So whether it's law firms, you want to be positioned as an expert in your industry, your profession. Political campaigns, you want to be connected and relevant to the people that you're talking with and all the people that are in your area, because you want to earn their vote. You want to be able to immediately connect with trust and be relatable to them. So, the first business I ever worked with was a coffee shop. The second business was, oh my goodness. Oh, I'm sorry. My brain was fried. A cattle rancher. And he has meat that is chemical free, grain fed. And there's no hormones, none of this. And I'm not a rancher, so I don't know all the terminology, but the absolute healthiest meat. If you eat meat, it is the healthiest meat that is available anywhere, period. And so I tried some phenomenal steaks out of this world. And
do you make bacon?
Yes, he does.
There you go. Yeah. All right.
Fine bacon. Oh my goodness, perfect. So we worked on a budget to get started just to establish an online presence. Then started discussing options to be able to sell his product nationwide. So I got his website up, got a landing page up, started collecting some emails. Bam, it started growing. And he said, okay, we definitely want to sell this online. So while I'm working on it, which is still under construction, I've got a temporary coming soon page up, and people are signing up all over the United States that are wanting to know about this, all over the country, because they've seen the product and they're starting to hear from people and it's starting to spread. My process usually works like this, and it may be a little unorthodox, but this is how I do it.
Hey, dude, if it works, that's all that matters.
I start local, and I make a huge impact local. I'm always a hard hitter. If you think of law enforcement or military, if you think of it, I'm a door breacher. I will kick the door in and get what I've got to get and do what I've got to do. And make an immediate impact. You want to make an immediate impact, and you want to leave a lasting impression that is positive and memorable. So I come across as intimidating. I'm not trying to intimidate anybody. I'm not trying to harm anybody. I'm not competing with anybody. I compete with who I was yesterday, and that's all I'm after. I'm competing with me. I want to be a better version of me tomorrow than I am today. So I start locally. I have an influence locally, and I build a solid, positive, lasting impression and reputation locally. Then I move regionally and nationally and internationally. And now here I am 4 months out from starting my business, and I've got clients nationwide, coast to coast, and around the globe, literally around the globe. So it's grown really quick. When I was featured in entrepreneur.com and foxnews.com as one of the up-and-coming entrepreneurs in the United States, the quote that I gave was, be okay with slow growth, seek out a mentor, don't rush it. In which I don't rush it. I just have a plan. I execute the plan. I have a process that I go by, and the process is effective. It works. I can't argue with it, but I work my butt off, and there's no substitute for hard work. And a lot of people don't want to put in the work. They want quick, immediate, instant results, and it just doesn't work like that.
Very true.
I'll shut up.
So let's get down to brass tacks. Give me an idea of how you work your social media strategies. What do you do to get more people to like and to engage and comment and all that kind of stuff?
Well, first of all, you want to be relevant, right? Our biggest fear is not really being rejected. It's being irrelevant or being ignored completely. So we want to connect with the people that we're trying to reach, whether it's through images or whether it's through content. And it's all about connecting on an emotional base, on a psychological base, and being able to relate to where they are in their life or their business. And here's the thing. Social media, you are highly, highly, highly unlikely to reach and influence, somebody that's in a billionaire socioeconomic status. Why is that? Because chances of them being on Facebook seeking out your assistance are highly unlikely. I mean, would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
So
Their secretary may be, or their personal assistant.
Exactly. So if you want to have the influence, you got to understand who your market is, and your market, if it's somewhere here and not out here, is going to be, if it's targeted, you're going to have much more success. So if you're talking about, Facebook ads, or Twitter campaigns, it needs to be as specific as possible. I know when I first started, I said, I go in and punch in the information and it come up and say, your target campaign is going to reach 317 billion people. And I thought, man, that's great. And that's not great. That's not the way it works.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be as specific and targeted as possible. You would get more results if you targeted your product or service to a room full of 50,000 people who are seeking your product or service, as opposed to spreading it out to 370 million people. It just, it's a weird algorithm, but it works. So, be relative, be consistent, be relevant, but most of all, be authentic and be real. Mm-hmm. That's what people want. People can read through the BS. They can read through the crap. Be authentic. And, if you go out and you friend somebody or somebody friends you on Facebook, the first thing that you send to their inbox should not be, hey, let me sell you product XYZ. It doesn't work like that. It's completely ineffective, and it will get you blacklisted, period. So don't do that. If I said here's a one don't do, then that would be it. But that's my strategy. It's really not as complicated as people make it out to be, and it's a crowded space, and there's so much information that's coming in. Man, just find what works for you, and when you find that it works, stick with it, and move forward, and kind of be flexible because things will change, but stick with it.
So when you're doing email marketing with these people, what tools are you using, like Aweber or MailChimp or Infusionsoft, or what kind of stuff are you doing?
Yeah, I was with MailChimp for the first year or year and a half or something, that I had a list, and I went with Constant Contact after that. And so I use Constant Contact, and I've toyed with Infusionsoft. A lot of those tools can be really, like trying to do brain surgery.
Right, they're overwhelming.
Yeah, they can be. So, and then you get into the market, and then there's people that specialize in teaching you how to use Infusionsoft or doing Infusionsoft for you.
Right.
So, and it can get very costly. So, as a small business owner, my goal, I work from home, but my goal is to keep my expense and overhead as low as possible. So between my booking calendar, through coaching calendars and programs, my programs, the hostings, everything that I use, I'm around $200 a month, total. And I really think that that's too high for what, for all the different things I use. And I think that it was Constant Contact and Bluehost is who I host with. But Constant Contact runs me about $40 or $45 a month, I think, for what I get. But it has this great feature where and I'm not an affiliate, so I'm not making any money on this, but it has this amazing, awesome feature where you can use text to subscribe. So you can put out a campaign that says, hey, text, Blab to 44222, which is not an actual campaign. Text this word to this number to subscribe it or to get free whatever. And it works. It's very effective. My problem is similar to that of somebody that maybe mows lawns or cleans houses for a living. If you ever go to their house is filthy or their lawn looks horrible.
Right. We call it the cobbler who has kids have holes in their shoes, right?
Man, I've got close to 20. I can't take on any more clients right now. I mean, that's how booked I am. And the ones that I do take on, I let them know up front, hey, I'm 60 days away from being able to help you, or 45 days away from helping you. And if somebody wants to be bumped through the front, there's a premium for that, which I can get a team on it. But I personally can't work on anything else right now, including my own stuff. So,
Right.
And
it's
that's
a good problem to
problem.
have.
Yeah, it really is.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about philosophy. I mean, it's like when you meet a new customer, you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I really connect them with their audience? How much do you put in? How much do they put in? I mean, where's the balance in working with clients?
You referred to my business clients' website or WordPress clients?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When they provide all the content, and the first thing I tell them, the amount of success that we're going to achieve together is directly proportional to the amount of freedom that you give me to do what I need to do, and the amount that you're willing to invest for my time, my knowledge, and my expertise. So I have clients that, and anybody that is in my profession industry will tell you, it's kind of like pulling teeth to get content from them.
Oh, I know.
That happens with anybody, but most of them get me what I need, and I go in. I'll try to, if they're locally anyway, and if they're not locally, I'll go to what they have online or go to their social media sites. I'll try to scope them out and get a feel for what they're offering, what their product or service is, kind of connect with them. But if they're local, I get out and go inside, check out their business and see what they got going on. And that'll help me get a better idea for who their clientele is and how I should design their website, period. So their input, I'll usually have, 2 or 3 revisions available for them. And their input, I mean, it's ultimately their product, it's their service, it's their business, and the site will be theirs when I'm complete. And I want their input because I want them to be happy, and I want them to be satisfied with what I offer. So their input is from start to finish. We usually start up front with a discovery phase and understand, okay, well, what are you looking for? What's your ultimate goal? What's this for? And then we'll have kind of like a midway point review. And then before it goes live, we'll have a final review where, we sit down and look over everything together. And then I offer 15 days for free, 15 days of website care after it goes live, just to work out any tweaks and anything that may come up, because it's technology and sometimes stuff happens. So
yes, it does.
and then, offer monthly maintenance plans, and people, a lot of times people think, well, you can build my website and just leave it alone. That's fine, but in a year from now, it's going to look completely obsolete, because that's how rapidly it changes. Yep. That's how rapidly technology changes, website design, and the way that they're heading. So, I mean, that's what I do.
Well, not to mention the fact that if you don't maintain your WordPress, the chances of it getting hacked, incrementally gets bigger and bigger every day.
Absolutely.
I got one client who paid me to go in and defunk her website. She's with Network Solutions. The reason I'm stuttering a little bit is because I've got an echo in my ear, so I'm like hearing myself delayed. But she's in Network Solutions, and what they did is they automatically just shut her off. As soon as you get hacked, as soon as you get something in there, it goes away. So then you got to get it turned back on, get in there, clean out the bogus PHP stuff that people are put on there, and then then you got to maintain it. And then she didn't maintain it, and she got hacked again. And it just It's crazy, And there's some people who get hacked so bad that you have to bring in the specialists who really can get in there and dig deep.
And it's just really it's not that people don't really care about their website. It's not that they don't care about maintaining it. It's nobody's really taking the time to educate them on the importance of it. Well, my perception is you build my website and I pay you X number of dollars, and then it just, I make $1 million off of it, and that's not the case.
Right.
Yeah, security is probably the number one reason why it needs to be maintained. And
Absolutely.
performance updates, content updates, and then if you have an e-commerce site, you're going to need somebody to help maintain that unless you have the knowledge. And obviously, if you've hired somebody to design it, you probably don't have the knowledge or time to deal with it.
Right.
And and everybody's got their own pricing, their own quotes, and it depends on how much of my time you want every month as to how much I'm going to charge you, period. But absolutely, if you do nothing else, you should pay somebody to at least keep it updated so that you don't have the vulnerabilities as other sites.
Absolutely. Well, if anybody wants to jump in, has any questions, wants to join the conversation, go ahead and do that. We have an open seat. And as I said before, this is a sponsored website. It's sponsored by Bacon Podcast and BaconCoach.com. I can't stop stuttering because of this echo in the air, and I have no idea why, but it's got to be something with Blab. So, but if anybody wants to jump in, go ahead. Otherwise, we'll keep the conversation going. So what are some of the trends that you see coming up? What are some of the differences that you've seen over the last few months that you're starting to implement? Like, for example, I jumped on Blab, there's Periscope, there's Meerkat, there's all these other new marketing tools that are coming around that people can utilize. Are you using any of that with your clients?
I love something like Blab. I don't have time to go out and actively. I would love to make time to get on here and have, like a Blab session or something and talk with people and educate them and find hot leads for website design. But I use something like join.me, which I can, download for free. And I'll use it as a screen share and kind of walk my clients through what they're seeing, or if there's somewhere that I can't connect with them in person. And the majority of my business, over 70% of my business, is not locally. So I use either Skype or I use join.me or some other form of virtual meetings that we can share and have a conference like this. So, and this is the way it's going. I mean, people, I'm sure that you could pay Blab some amount of money to get some additional features, but for the most part, it's free. It's social, networking. And this is the way that it's heading. Blab and, Periscope is still kind of hot. I think Blab's on the rise, and you're going to see more development along the lines of these projects. And it's not going to go away. It's going to get bigger, and it's going to kind of go wider, as we move forward.
Absolutely. So from a marketing philosophy, what are some of the things that you're seeing with your clients that are their biggest challenges? What are you trying to help them work through?
Well, in marketing, okay, let me take it back a step. In law enforcement, in any profession, there are people that will make it more difficult for others to have success because of their previous actions.
Sure.
Their negative behavior cause negative, outcomes with other clients. And so when somebody else comes in, you kind of got to work a little bit harder to gain up a little more ground. So my biggest thing is going in, number one, connecting. Number two, showing them, hey, this is why you need somebody to come in and help you. Where I'm at, one of the biggest challenges, is helping people see the benefit and see the market that they can reach by using social media. And I've literally talked to business owners who said, I don't need to grow anymore. Thanks, but no thanks. I don't need marketing.
Sure.
And there are people like that. They're not going to change. They don't want anything to do with technology. It's nothing personal, but that's just, that's the way they are. So my biggest challenge locally would be helping people understand and see the value in social media marketing and having an effective, well-performing online website and online presence. So it's really communicating the value and benefits of what I offer compared to what anybody else offers, locally.
Awesome. Well, Adam, I'm going to close it out. We're not getting a lot of people on here, but that's okay. That happens. This is new, and I was usually like to leave the last 15 minutes for questions, but it's all good. So, if people wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Sure, they can like my Facebook page, Adam Davis Writer, Adam Davis WRITER. I'm on Twitter, Adam Davis Writer, and Instagram, same handle, Adam Davis Writer, WRITER, or you can email me, adam@adamdavis.co.
Awesome, dude. Well, thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun getting to know you, and we'll connect up on Facebook for sure, some more, and I'll have this live, the replay of it probably later today. So
thank you so much for having me, Brian.
It was a pleasure, man. Nice getting to know you. All right, take care, buddy.
Bye-bye.